Hey guys, this is episode 170 of Shackled City. Welcome in, friendos. Welcome in. I hope everybody has had a decent time so far. Sorry it's been so long, but, well, we're back in action. It took a little bit of time just so we could get some Bubfest stuff taken care of, and now we've returned. We still don't have any, just like last time, but that's okay. It's a matter of time. We'll get them back up. Everything will be cool, and Thelsa will be making everyone's lives hell again. I have no doubt in my mind. So
yeah, eventually he'll contribute.
So I recently saw Sniper himself, but I haven't seen or really kind of talked to the other three of you much since our last game. I think I've said maybe, I don't know, maybe like 100 words to Red, like, hey, get this thing for me please, I need help, and here is a link to a thing for emotes. And then he dabbed just like that. We were an audio call, so it didn't make sense, and I didn't hear it.
Yeah, well, I took Sniper's advice. My sinuses are being an asshole to me, so I decided to put the hottest sauce I could find in my fridge on my pizza. I'm really regretting it.
More.
It's working, though.
More.
Gotta admit, it's clearing you out.
It's working, but I hate it. Beyond that, Will came down to my house. We saw a concert. We went up to Orlando, hung out with some friends. Then when he went home, he's coming back down a bit. See another concert.
Okay.
That's pretty much the
car-
recap of the week.
My car is going to hate me.
Something is chewing through my resources right now, and I'm not sure what it is.
Is it the hot sauce? Because it's chewing through mine.
Negative, Batman. What's up, Aussie? What's going on, buddy? So, it's like I keep hearing kind of like some blowback of like a hiss, a noise. I'm not even sure where it's coming. I've got to look now. It's gonna fucking bother me. And now it's gone. Nope. It's definitely from Splodes. I don't even know how.
I don't either.
Dude,
I have my mic sensitivity set so fucking low.
Does anybody else see it like light up though? Like you're just like
I'm seeing it light up, like I'm watching it happen.
Yeah.
But it's only happening when you're talking and I'm not.
Yeah.
So evidently it's coming through my headset, but you're not even. Maybe that's fucking loud. I'll turn you down.
I'm not
Use
even
your
sure,
headset,
man.
No, I'm pretty sure. Let me double check, but
You sound clear, so I don't think it's your headset mic.
yeah, no, I'm on my regular mic.
It's Chrome. I don't use Chrome. Chrome's a mistake. I know someone's gonna hate me for that, but that's okay.
Something about your tone
sense for you
is.
because you have 48 tabs open at any given moment.
I have Twitch chat, my live dashboard, and Roll20 open. That's it.
I'm proud of you.
I'm proud. Yeah, so am
Write
I.
your number
That's a
down.
first.
That's not a first. You're just not around to see it.
Look, man, every time I've seen you, you've always had at least 10 or so tabs open.
How do you know, Red? You're not here.
I've been here for the other 4 years, going on 6.
I've been streaming 6 years, Red. You
Yeah,
were
I
the,
know.
like, you were the first 25 people to fucking follow me. Oh my goodness. Drive a spike into my face. It's okay. All right, so who can recall about what happened last time?
I can.
Okay. I like
It's
the
literally
smile.
just Ronald.
The fucking smile. That's beautiful.
But if
What
we're
happened?
before we do that,
Ronald, I
everyone,
swear to God.
go to your closets,
Ronald,
check under your bed.
he's been server muted. Now you may speak.
Get your chains and get your
God
locks
damn it.
because we're doing a Shackled recap tonight, boys and girls.
I think this is the one time where he gets to do it because literally we can't just mute him and have one of us recap it.
This is accurate.
So last time we met, we had some stuff go down. Finally came down to the final hour of Dugo Bras's execution. With time winding down, we essentially tried to have it in the morning where we would do the execution. Didn't go as planned because Kiana needed to have us see the mayor. kind of a pressing matter, we ended up going to the mayor's office to meet up with them, where we formally established our guild, finally, by signing our charter. We were set with stipulations as to what it would mean to be a guild and who would be in charge and who are the officers of it.
Most of us were there.
Yes, most of us. From there, we were more or less kind of given information about the casualties and the total loss of funding or loss of money from the damage to the city, as well as the loss of people. It was almost 1 million gold, you said, worth of damages, right?
It was over 1 million.
It was 1.5 or something like that.
1.32 million is what I think is what it was.
Yeah.
A lot.
The town's ratios have been completely butchered down. Over 3,000 lives lost, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
yes.
that sounds about right.
Predominantly humans and elves are the two largest percentages, and then from there it was orcs, gnomes, dwarves, and then other races not assigned specifically under those listings. Jumping over to, I guess, cut from the segue that we had from there, Sniper and Cort's master were finally making their way back into the area of Cauldron. If you remember your part, Sniper, you want to go ahead and fill them in?
Sure. So, yeah. Jakob and Marion Gray were making their way back to Cauldron from their last city. And as they were going along, he had a quasi-fever dream where he felt this impetus, this strong urge to make it back to Cauldron as quickly as possible. So after having hit the road for a few days, riding hot and hard with Master Gray actually strapped to his saddle, we actually ran into an elemental of sorts. I think it was the second spark or the third spark?
Second spark.
And being in such a hurry and wanting to defend his charge, he actually just full on balls to the wall stood between the spark and, at that point, an unconscious Master Gray. Somehow or another, he managed to, I want to say, luck into the spark's good favor, and it let him leave. And taking onto Boney together, they actually followed the trail of the spark back to Cauldron, moving at much greater speeds than normal. It was like an automatic triple haste or something like that. But suffice it to say, they still didn't make it on time. Why would that be, Xander?
I'm assuming he ended with Xander before he went all robot on us,
Yeah.
but that was due to Thelsa being stopped by the second spark at the bathhouse. As we were trying to figure out what was happening with the lake as it started parting due to the excessive heat that both Rahk and Cort were feeling, we ended up realizing that the fire, the first flame, was making his entrance into the city. He wasn't too happy that essentially we were taking as long as we did, and as a result, he ended up killing what he considered the weakest of our people. As we told him that we would complete the task, he just needs to wait a moment. We ended up running to the bathhouse where, as I said, Thelsa was met with the second spark, and the second spark and the first flame had a bit of a spat as the first flame more or less kind of gave him the respect of his title of being the second spark, and the second spark kind of called the first flame like a candle.
Yeah, more or less. Like a
Yeah.
baby flame.
Mm-hmm. But with that, they the first flame ended up crushing the makeshift house of Dugobras, assuming killing him because the first flame is linked to all fire, and knowing that he ended up crushing him on the inside, and possibly Malgrim. We don't know because we haven't seen him yet, but it's assuming that's what happened. After that, it left with us fixing the damages that the first flame had brought, and we had ended with Cort's master and Jakob finally making it back to the bathhouse, where they met up with everybody, with tensions kind of running high towards some. But yeah, that's where we left off. Everyone's reunited again, but there's it's tense.
It's tense. Who's it most tense with?
Jakob towards Ulhime, and Cort towards his master, as well as I would say Rahk towards the rest of us, since he kind of has a dilemma of whether or not he's allying himself with us or the mayor. Seeing as our actions in his eyes our actions aren't. They're not. I guess the price of what we're paying is higher than what we're, I guess, trying to get out of it. Like, for every little good we do, there's always a lot of bad that seems to come,
Okay.
even if it's unintentional.
Okay. Yeah. That's fairly accurate. There's some things that I feel like was just remotely glossed over, but I kind of want to see what's happening with Cort right now. Is this sort of bittersweet, do you think, returning to your master, or would you say it's something entirely different?
I'm trying to recall where I was emotionally at the end of that game, because it was pretty fucking high. The answer's not sad.
Awestruck.
Elated? Relieved? Okay.
Relieved. Maybe thinking that he's not the only one from his village anymore. That the person that he's known from his past who has known him before is still alive. Even if he's moved on to Jared as a master, it's still someone from his past that exists that he had thought previously had been completely wiped away from his existence, essentially. So relieved is a way to put it. Not in like a sad way, but not like in a like, oh my god, my master's back,
Right.
kind of way.
I feel you. Oh, and Rahk adopted a child.
Yeah, he did. Not by, I guess, sort of by choice or lack thereof choice.
I forgot his name. It wasn't Hobbs, right? Was it?
Chobs.
Chobbs and Shaw. It's gonna be the new series coming to.
Careful,
God damn it.
he's gonna turn your sack into a boxing bag, my dude.
It's not about being fast anymore. It's about family and class level.
Particularly class level, though.
Yeah.
And speed bagging someone's nuts.
That's right.
Yeah.
For family. So, how was Rahk feeling at the end of this event? I mean, admittedly, you kind of stumbled into this and you didn't really want to like bow down to this, I don't know, this first flame.
Rahk was feeling like he got stabbed in the heart with a spear of sadness.
Yeah.
I'm holding a crying orphan, who admittedly is very heavy, not just of heart but of body.
Yeah, he's a thick young lad.
He is pretty thick, gotta say. But yeah, he got orphaned because this party couldn't kill somebody that was required to be killed, or else they were told this was going to happen. Like, pretty much exactly, in no uncertain terms. And they still chose to wait till the very last minute. And that caused a whole bunch of innocent people to die. So Rahk is not happy with them.
Do you think you're going to have an opportunity to express that? Or are you just going to kind of hold it in?
It's certainly not going to be something that I can hold in. And as far as opportunity goes, I don't know whether there will be one presented to me, but there will be one made if there isn't.
There's this neat little tool I call repression. You just bottle it down really, really deep. And
Oh, trust me, I'm a barbarian. I know all about repression.
He has an actual bottle that he uncorks and releases
it's a physical
it
bottle of rage.
as he ladles through people's entire health bars.
It has rage written on it, just like in
Yeah.
Sharpie. But the E is kind of rubbed off, so it just looks like rag.
Nice. Rage
Yeah.
cola. It's what enemies crave.
And then I pull it out and I unstopper it and say, "It's rag time, baby."
Brondo's got what plants need.
Man,
I appreciate that I got just like full on bendo.
It's rag time.
I haven't talked to you
Rag
fools in like
time.
a month, and suddenly I remember why.
It's fucking rag time.
It's ragtime, fools.
Oh, my friends
Then
are
I,
dead. Push me to the ledge.
Pull out a straw hat, caned.
Fuck you!
When we kill the enemies, we don't kill them. We
Michigan
just pull 'em up,
J-Frog.
take them off.
Oh my
I feel
god.
like we need to make that canon.
What, ragtime?
Yeah, you just pulling out a straw hat anytime you're about to rage. If you don't
actually-
do the straw hat, you cannot rage.
It's
You-
not
you
even
can.
a bottle. It's just a full-on standing piano.
You could totally do that. What? I don't even know the fucking lyrics right now because I'm so flustered with.
What, Michigan J Frog?
Yeah, baby, my heart's on fire.
If you refuse me, baby, you'll lose me.
Oh my god! As you're just whirlwinding like a fucking Beyblade through combat.
You just hear
Every
the-
time one of us comes in, he stops. Stop.
Honey, a ragtime gal.
And you just
Send me a kiss by wire.
Oh, I have so many questions.
This is your era. Is the question how did they nail it?
Fuck you too, Bob.
You're a fucking pinstripe shirt away from fitting this so perfectly.
How do they know my references? How do
Oh
they
my
read my
God.
mind?
I swear to God, if we don't have a fucking barbershop quintet by the end of this campaign, I'll be so upset.
That's really the end goal for why we're trying to save the city.
Well, hey, at least I got our name picked out.
God
Fucking
damn it.
disappointments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, needless to say, things have happened.
Yeah. Are you regretting coming back, Bub? Are you
Ragtime?
regretting it?
Really? I didn't even it didn't even hit me when you said there's no E on the bottle.
Yeah, that's why when he said it, I was just like, oh my god, that's so stupid.
Here I was about to go ahead and make a joke of it being, an old perfume bottle is rage, but nah, that trumped it.
All right.
I bottle up my emotions and channel them through upbeat piano music.
Shittiest cleric ever. My channel is just flaming fire fucking gigantic hammer. That's what it is.
Is it possible to be demonetized for stupid?
Even Karami says even Red said it was stupid. Oh man.
Look, I gotta get one in every once in a while, okay?
Oh my lord.
Yeah, we can't leave all the dad jokes to run. We occasionally gotta let you get them on.
Well, what a way to start,
Twitch
gentlemen.
Prime.
What? Where the fuck did that come from?
Twitch Prime. Everyone in chat right now. Twitch Prime. Use your Amazon membership. Twitch Prime the channel, and you get
We
Prime
entered the shilling
streaming.
portion.
Look, no one else
Benefits.
is gonna pay Bub for this. You guys
Fucking-
are
it's-
gonna have to be the ones to, because we're losing him Patrons every second that we're live with this.
Ronald popping in trying to remind people to sub with their Twitch Prime, coming in like it's a fucking like walkie-talkie. He's like,
Twitch Prime, everyone. Twitch Prime, everyone. Get in right now. Twitch Prime.
See, why don't you have a ragtime version of that?
No, that is the ragtime version. If he went ahead and sang ragtime on that, it would sound just like a tube radio.
All right, I'm gonna need you to do it. I need
Don't
you to
ask
do
me
it
how
right
I know
now.
that.
Everybody, lift up your chat and show us your biddies. All right, get us those big biddies up in that chat right now. Got Twitch Primes, got biddies, you got subs, you got bubs in these tubs. Fucking do that shit, right?
okay, we need a beat. He's gonna go at this point. He just started like running at the mouth. I'm for it. Comment, it's good
And
to see
with
you,
that,
bud.
let's get our game going.
Yeah, I think we should. I really think we
Yes,
should.
dear God, let us get this game going.
But first,
Twitch Prime, everyone. Twitch Prime. Just bring it back in here.
All right, air traffic control, calm down.
perfect.
Major Tom.
All right, lads. So
Deputy Bub.
this is gonna be the next morning, the following day, because everybody had gone off to their own area to rest. I had nothing else really kind of left in me, so let's set this in motion. Sniper, where would you have gone? Where would Jakob lay and rest?
He would have likely been so disgusted with the events that he came home to, he would have probably left Marion behind with Cort, probably stink-eyed Ulhime on the way out, and then head over to the guard quarters. Because, I mean, he's got to go ahead and report in anyway.
That's fair. Let's see. It was a long day. It was a very, very long day.
We ain't sharing a bed no more, baby.
Okay, then let's find out. What about Ulhime? Where would you have laid yourself to rest that eve?
If we're just resting up, temple that I have as usual.
The what temple?
The dwarven temple, the makeshift dwarven temple I made at the bottom of
Oh, you mean like the shrine that you made?
Yeah.
Okay, because you definitely didn't build a temple.
Oh yeah, the shrine. My bad.
Like whoa. We've been gone a little while, but not that long. Damn.
Yeah, we're talking about the shrine that's underneath the bathhouse.
The bathhouse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And I imagine Rahk is
I
with
remember
Chobs.
something.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Rahk is with Chobs.
Correct.
And Cort with Marion where?
Probably in the bathhouse.
With a candlestick. Perfect. Okay. Would you have gone to your resting quarters, or would you have just kind of shacked up
I
there?
believe you said the resting quarters got fucked up by the spark, right?
The wall was damaged. The wall was damaged for sure.
Yeah, so he might have probably slept closer inward. Maybe near because we had set out the fire where we had kind of been cooking food for the morning, that kind of area, probably near there. Like
Okay.
sitting, like a campfire kind of thing, but indoors.
All right. Let's go. Let's see what I got here. We don't need combat music. That's not going to be a thing. Let's give you who'd like to tackle first? Who wants to run with their morning? Do you have any personal intentions, or did you want time that evening to speak additionally to someone? What did you have in mind? What would you like to try?
Sure. Why
Nobody's volunteering. I'll go ahead and do it. I got to speak with Kiana anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, with the tensions high, you take to your own. You've felt more alone recently than you have in a very, very long time. You were expecting a much warmer welcome from your allies, even with this gift.
Stay a while and listen.
But not all that glitters is gold. And you can tell that despite your best intentions, things still ended up wry. It was almost bittersweet. But you cased the town, moving in an all too familiar pattern. You're second in command. You have nothing to fear. No concerns whatsoever, short of seeing your father. But not on this night. You mind your own? Moving to the bathhouse and... Or not the bathhouse, excuse me, the guardhouse, and you will find that it's fairly vacant. A single light blooms from within. The amount of guards are shortened. Most of them are either on patrol at the moment or in rest mode. What do you wish to do?
Well, the first thing I wish to do is, of course, report to Kiana. So I'd probably be heading towards the guardmaster's office.
Okay. Right, so you enter into the guardhouse. You can still smell on the air, despite the amount of time that you've been gone, the acidic, almost acrid aroma that lingers about the area. There is a certain scent that stays from burned flesh, and the ground is tainted. It hangs heavily. You try not to think much of it before finding your way into the guardhouse, seeking out Kiana. She is the only one inside of the entire guard and guard captain's quarters. There are no prisoners. There are no additional guards, at least as far as you can tell. And she sits, exhausted, thumbing through papers. She hears your footfall, but she doesn't look up. It's almost a welcome to anyone that may find themselves an acquaintance or an enemy. It seems strange, but Kiana's always been a little different.
Stepping up to the open doorway, he is going to stay at the edge of the thresh and knock on the framework first.
She looks upward. Sees down to you.
Is now a good time?
It's hardly a good time at this point, but we're rarely going to find it better, so I expect things went well.
And stepping inside, he is going to post up in front of the desk and go through the perfunctory gestures of, coming to attention, saluting her, before easing with his hands behind his back. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was a complete success, but the other cities in the area, as well as the Forest Guardians, are aware of the happenings within Cauldron, save, of course, for events from earlier today. There has been no guarantees of aid to be sent, but we are to expect envoys, at least from Red Gorge, for possible carpenters, bricklayers, and the like to help rebuild the city.
Do you have any idea of the turnaround when their arrival might be?
No definitive time frame was set, though I did stress that time was of the essence. I was actually hoping that an envoy from Red Gorge may have beat me here.
Not that I've been aware of. I actually had my own fears about Red Gorge.
Understandable fears, considering the last interaction Cauldron had with them.
So you were met with apprehension?
There was definitely reluctance to take things on face value. After all, apparently the last time we interacted, we approached their gates with an army.
And took someone they were protecting. That's understandable. While I wish we were on better terms, I can understand why they are either taking their time or opting entirely out.
That having been said, the Citadel is is aware of our situation and is hopefully going to be sending relief members for relief of the guard. Hopefully anybody who can go ahead and survey the surroundings of the city. And hopefully we will be receiving foodstuffs and goods from the coast. Nothing fancy, I don't suspect, but perhaps staple foods, at least to get us through the winter.
That's going to have to do.
I do feel it necessary to apologize on the behest of my colleagues for the happenings of today.
She kind of scoffs under breath, just ugh. Shakes her head, but she doesn't respond.
As I understand it, this occurred because we failed to keep up our end of a bargain to take the life of, well, Dougalbras. Apparently he had run afoul of the leader of his plane. And he came to collect. I was outside the city and thus not responsible, but yet I feel more of an effort could have been applied by my colleagues.
She pauses for a moment, and her gaze kind of catches to yours. She has a bit of an upturned look. Confusion, maybe questioning, and you finally feel a bit of heat from her. So you were aware that this was going to happen, then?
We were aware that it was a possibility if we failed to go ahead and uphold our end of the agreement. The agreement was that Dougalbras was to die within a month's time as recompense for having interceded on our behalf with the fireplane. We were well aware of the date and why it wasn't performed successfully beforehand, I can't say. Dougalbras himself was more than ready and willing to make his amends well before I left. I'm not aware of the specific circumstances, of course. Things were rather terse.
Hundreds more passed away today. They were crushed in an instant. They didn't even have an opportunity to feel pain. But their lives were claimed. And for once, it's not immediately your fault.
And yet I still feel like I hold some responsibility, if as an extended third party. I am doing my best to go ahead and take more responsibility for the things that occur within my surroundings. And I feel it wouldn't do me any favors on my honor not to be upfront and forthright.
Why did Dougalbras have to be killed?
To my understanding, Dougalbras was first cast out of the plane of fire for having assisted the demon general Nabthatorin in the creation of an artifact. Exactly what, I'm not entirely aware. I do believe that Ulhime is the authority on that matter, as he was the one to speak with the, I believe the title is First Flame.
That thing in Crater Lake today.
Was the lead elemental of the fire plane.
And he was drawn here. Who originally brought him here?
Who originally brought Dougalbras, or who is ultimately responsible for the bargain?
Both.
I do believe it was Captain Jared Skellerang who brought Dougalbras to the city.
You see her jaw tighten from the immediate mention of his name. And there's a brief shake.
I'm assuming that their connection was something you did not know.
I was none the wiser. But I swear to the gods, if that man lives, he will not, after I'm through with him.
Well, no need to go ahead and pass along that I'm the one that spilled the beans on that pot. As for the bargain, that was ultimately Ulhime. He was the only one capable of speaking with the First Flame during our trip to the Plane of Fire. Brief though it was, thankfully.
So, Ulhime and the rest of your platoon went to see the First Flame, the creature above Crater Lake today. And what exactly? Why?
I'm afraid I don't recall specifically. I believe that we were seeking aid when it came to Navthatorin, but it was some time ago. And given most recent events, it's something I haven't really had time to reflect on.
Then where's Ulhime now?
The last I saw him, I left him at the bathhouse. Or what is the remains of the bathhouse. Apparently it did take some damage during our, during the city's afternoon visit.
Do you know why your allies did not finish the task? Are you aware as to why they would have done this?
And here, Jacob does pause and kind of close his eyes, and gritting his teeth, he does take a slow, kind of steadying breath, and it's very obvious that the idea upsets him, but after collecting himself, I have no earthly idea why they would fail in this one simple, if loathsome task.
It's never simple taking a man's life, even if he isn't really a man. It's easy. It does not make it simple.
An execution on the threat of the lives of innocents in a city is a simple matter.
You're not wrong.
We knew the consequences if we failed to go ahead and perform our duty. Why it was held to the very last day, I am not sure. Regardless, I felt it was necessary for you to be aware.
Thank you. I know now why Jared was angry every time he sat in this room. Every time I blink, it seems as if The papers seem to begin stacking, doubling.
Well, hopefully now that I'm newly returned, I can ease some of that load. After all, that's what us lieutenants do. Is that not correct?
I was told what to do. And I would command the men, and I would train them. I was never trained for this. And honestly, I don't necessarily believe that Jared was trained either. I still don't believe that he was the right man for this job. But he has a birthright, and as such I must respect that, even if I believe that Alec Turcival would have been a better guard captain. But you cannot turn or change the past. We've still not found a body. As it seems, he is still missing. And I do believe that he is not, or at least has not been slain. He may be dense, but he is durable.
He was spoken highly of by the men when it comes to his prowess with his sword. Though, given the condition that we found that in, it's questionable as to the kind of conflict he ran into.
He never went anywhere without his blade. I don't know what could have happened to him in that moment that would have thrown him and taken him away from this. He actually cared about this town. And while he was terrible at the paperwork, and he made questionable calls, he still actually cared about this town despite his rampant and unending failings. But I can see why. It's a lot more than one man should honestly deal with. More than one woman. There should be multiple guard captains.
Well, perhaps that's something you can speak to the mayor about in the future. I'm sure there are many capable men who would be more than willing to volunteer for such a duty.
Oh, I'm for certain there are. Jacob, they're clearly lining up out of the doors. Somehow you bypassed the entire line. All 6 of my guards. 6. 5, actually, 5. One of them was inside of the pavilion trying to calm the people. I am a adaptaire guard captain. You are second in command, just under me. And I have 5 guards that have mostly shit their medals. They have no idea what to do and what tomorrow looks like. And neither do I. Neither do I. And she crumbles up some paper, chucks it immediately into the fire. I haven't a damn clue. And I can't sleep.
Kiana, it's no secret that times are hard. And that with everything that's been happening, we are running extremely lean on manpower. You don't have to go ahead and remind me of that. But these are the cards that we've been dealt. This is the hand we must play. I'm hoping that in making amends to you and taking on this position, I can at least ease your burdens.
And she does something that you don't quite expect. She stands up, moving to the southern portion of the desk, which is closest to the wall furthest away from you. And she kind of leans over the edge with her elbows on the table, and she kind of rubs her brows as you're trying to ease her mind. And as she continues to rub her brow, she just pauses for a moment. And then she stands, lowers her hands, and she moves up next to you. When she moves up next to you, you've experienced this far too many times, where she's beginning to, like, almost ball up her fists. You're used to getting hit. And as you wince and pull back, you feel a kiss on your face. Her eyes are closed. And she kisses you again.
Then you feel the dagger pierce her stomach.
Come on, push the button! Yeah, come on, push the button!
She waits. You can see her eyes beginning to flinch open.
Kiana. Kiana, you're a beautiful woman. But you know just as well as I do what's behind this mask.
She looks to you, and she nods. I don't care. And then she pushes you into the door. She puts her body next to yours, and she starts to lean in to kiss and continue kissing you.
Well, poor guy's a little out of practice, and... Okay, he's a lot out of practice. But keeping company with a dwarf, he hasn't really had much time to think about that sort of thing, especially in a city that's as polarized against tieflings as they have been. But soon enough, he's groping behind himself, both to ease the doorknob that is digging into the small of his back and work the latch as he returns the attention with a bit more fervor than she perhaps expected.
Goodness gracious, you're so long-winded. You'll see the camera.
Okay, fine. He locks the door and they go, frick!
Immediately seeing the camera pull away, the seldomly seen side of this character sort of comes to light, and we'll just let your minds wander.
Bub, I hate you for making me think about Sniper's character having fucking sex, okay? This is the worst night of my life.
Like, Will,
no exaggeration.
Will, in a couple of years after we get to episode 300, there'll be a Shackled City Wikipedia. And in that part, under Jacob's character, it's just going to be a little trivia note, little bullet point. Jacob fucks.
Let it be known. This is the night we jump the shark.
Let it be known
This is the night.
that paperwork's going to
I'm
end up on the
telling
floor.
you.
That paperwork's going to end up on the floor, and that desk is going to be proper broken.
All right, let's not pretend like you haven't already come in your fucking pants at this point, okay?
Hopefully nobody asks about the claw marks on the corner.
Oh, it's
gosh.
It's that fucking moment where it's like the mask gets pulled off and he's holding her from behind, yet his tiny little hands are like cupping her nipples.
Let me use my tiny hand.
Grab my strong hand.
Oh fuck.
God, you know,
I
all
hope
I
he
can
doesn't try choking a bitch.
all I can imagine is Kiana's gonna have next level remorse when she wakes up with Jacob to its mask off.
No. Kiana's gonna wake up with a new haircut and everything because he forgets that he's got claw hands.
Beer goggles got her fucked.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of D&D
Literally.
is this? It's a lot of friends sitting around a table for years, steampunk. So it kind of runs a gamut.
It's actually Dicks and Derrieres. It's the D&D.
Wowzers, Batman. Okay, all right.
For everyone, Prime, we're not getting paid. Can't.
I feel like there's a little jealousy here. You know, poor Rahk, all he's got is a new kid.
Damn. He didn't even get to dip the dongle, and he got a baby. Oh, what
The
a...
fathers everywhere. Rahk is just personifying them.
Listen, man, there was a fire elemental coming out of the lake that I backflipped into. I'm pretty sure it's all just hot dog water down there now.
I'm for certain that's an innuendo.
No,
And he's
no,
not here, though.
An innuendo is wicking that candle.
Let me lighten that load for you, Kiana.
You can clearly tell how much Kiana cares for you, Jacob.
Take that stress off your back, put something else on it, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I would imagine that they're both rather vigorously trying to make up for the sense of mortality and how fucked up life has been.
So now the real question to ask deep down to Jacob in character is, what was better, Kiana or the butterfly?
I don't think he would remember the butterfly.
I think you're wrong.
I think you remembered all of your time from being a butterfly, because you remembered seeing your daddy come by.
No, because if you remember, he failed that wisdom roll.
Oh, shit. He does remember that he got laid as a butterfly. He still thinks he's a virgin. Well, does he know? He has experience.
Yes, you can take all of your experience into the guard captain's office. So does this mean that when you lay her down, do you just ferociously beat your arms against her?
He just opens. That's why he has the extra arms. They just pop out. Ah!
No, he like bends her over the desk and then just like try and hovers over her, standing on the corner of the desk.
It's
like
fucking,
doing.
Oh, it's literally
It's like
fucking.
he's doing the luge.
He's fucking Heimlich from A Bug's Life. He's like, I'm floating.
I'm a beautiful butterfly.
I am going to put my caterpillar in your cocoon.
Oh
No.
God.
Oh, well, yeah, you had to go and kill it. Ruined the fun
We
again.
had to go ahead and lose a couple Patreons there.
Just as a prescient reminder, Will, can you do me a favor and just go push to talk? I feel like I'm hearing the ocean directly in my ear. I know you can't hear it, but yes. But just as a reminder,
Head up to the microphone. Hear it.
just as a reminder, Kiana is actually a patron NPC. If you guys wanted to put something like that into the game, you can. You just got to sub up on Patreon at the right level, and we can get a 5th level patron for you. If you want to go higher,
Here, take this.
if you want to have a higher level patron, we can make you a higher level NPC. You just have to go up to particular levels, and we can make it happen. So consider it.
Yeah, and whichever Patreon went ahead and made Kiana grieve, thanks for getting me laid.
Also, we're sorry.
So for everyone, if you want to get laid by Jacob, join Patreon. This is a first time experience in 170 sessions. However, there
was the baboon.
Well, okay,
There was the spooky dick.
Yeah, before that was Spooky Day.
And there was the orphanage owner.
That was spooky dick.
That was Spooky Dick, yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
Oh, you know what
There
else
was-
there was
There was the one that happened.
There was Red's rape.
Yeah, the old lady that snuck into the guardhouse when I was KO'd in it, and
that was also the same lady with that gave Spooky Dick.
Yeah,
she
really gets around.
And there was Jacob in the plunder dungeon. Not even Jacob. It was Fareed.
It was Fareed.
Fareed was in the plunder dungeon.
Yes. Well, that one didn't actually happen like during the session. That was his intro. That he'd been. God, what was that character's name?
Fareed?
No. The one who was going ahead and playing butt pirates with him.
Oh, that was the fucking orc dude, the one that threw any
troll. It was the troll dwarf, Kazmajin.
Kazmajin. Yeah. But yeah, Kazwagen was playing butt pirate with him.
Dude, he went full LL Cool J, man, in fucking in Deep Blue Sea. Like legit, he was just casually fighting, and then you killed his dog, and he John Wicked Annie right out of a window. Thank you so much, Fish Food, for the bits. I appreciate it. R-rated content bits, lulz, 250 bits. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and then there was, of course, Jared scullering the doorknob, but
also something
The doorknob butt is pretty accurate.
something that occurred to me, speaking of him, was that the one way that we might be able to get Jared back, and why we know he's gone, it's because he fucking fell into another goddamn frog portal. This motherfucker's out there with his frog people again.
Maybe.
crying for his doorknobs.
It's unlikely,
There's
but
no
it's
doorknobs
feasible.
here. They just have swamps.
So then we're going to pass this back, since we've gone through that scene. We're going to see what's happening between either Ulhime or Cort. Who would like to take that scene?
Go on, Cort.
Oh, fuck. I was hoping to get you to do it. Okay. Cort's going to ask...
come on, Cort. You might get laid, too.
Oh.
He won't fight back much. He's just a one-armed man.
Oh no.
Pick up old habits.
It's where you learn that his learning at the as a knight was actually more akin to an altar boy.
Good lord.
This is where he actually takes it back.
Good lord. Let's find out what actually happened, though.
He's gonna ask him a bunch of questions.
Okay.
More than likely.
Like what?
Assuming that they would wake up with each other, somewhere, within proximity, after, because he came in and pretty much immediately fell off of Jakob, didn't he? Because of the whole fight thing.
Yeah, he lowered him to the wall, and he was kind of like, just kind of coming back around from the previous bit of being thrown from his horse twice.
Yeah. So he was jarred, and I'm assuming that he would have slept the night, recovered, and Cort, not trying to pester him, would probably wait for him to wake up and actually become relatively, awake and aware, so to speak. Because before he was more okay with, talking to Rahk when Rahk couldn't even open his face. He's just going to wait for him to wake up, and then eventually, whenever he wakes up, he's going to start questioning him. My cat apparently wants to help. Frank.
Okay, thanks, Frank. I appreciate that, bud. So, in the morning, you wish to question. Ulhime, is there anything you wish to do that evening?
Yeah, repair my mirror.
Do you have the method of which you'd like to handle this?
Yeah, make whole.
Make whole? Okay.
Yeah. And not like the literal make whole, like just a fucking donut mirror now. It's like it repairs.
Okay. All right. You can succeed as such.
After doing that, I want to scry on.
Okay. Cue up make whole for me, please. I'd like to read it. Okay, let's see. Make whole has damage? What?
No,
It's
restores.
1d4 healing.
Oh, gotcha.
Like if the object is broken and with hit points. Like if it gets sundered.
I like how it says it restores 1d4 hit points, but it rolled a d6 and got 1. Okay.
It wanted to stay within the constraints.
This condition is removed. I'm restored at least half of its original hit points, all the pieces and object. What is the casting time of this? 10 minutes. How many times can you use this?
I only have one use of it for the day, so just for today.
Okay. You have not quite restored it to half hit points, so it's repairing, but it's not quite there. It's not entirely there.
It wasn't shattered though. It was only cracked. I was only repairing the crack that had appeared in it.
Was it? I thought it was literally. It was destroyed.
No, you said that it had cracked and that was it.
I can't fact check him on this. I don't remember.
Yeah, I can't honestly remember it either. I thought it was because I don't think it was like a single crack. I thought it was multiple cracks because you were seeing many eyes. That's okay. Fine. Fine.
Yeah.
Sure. We'll say that you use and utilize your make hole. Let's see. Verbal and somatic, yeah. It's good. What does this look like? Explain how your spell functions visibly for the aesthetic.
So seeing as the mirror hasn't been moved since I had it placed, like all the little fragments around it, you start to see kind of lift up slowly as he starts chanting the incantation. And almost as like a time reverse spell, you kind of just see like each piece kind of sliding back in little by little into the cracks until the crack disappears and the mirror is made whole once again.
Okay. And it does so. It manages to reseat, almost begin to temporarily cook into place again before the image appears whole, collectively, readjusting. The mirror is before you.
Cool. And the person I want to look into is Gilfrey Silverlight.
Okay. Do you still have the rest of the components for this divination?
Yeah, I still have the pool of water, my divine focus, and then the silver mirror that was repaired.
All right, so there will be a limitation to this. You just can't have like unending divine, like divinity. You just can't keep looking over and over again on different people. So we're gonna have to find some sort of limitation to this.
It's literally one person. The spell is only usable on how many charges I put into that spell.
Okay.
Yeah, the casting time is 1 hour. Duration 1 minute per level.
Okay. Scrying. They can negate it.
But there's bonuses based off of how familiar I am with them and if I've seen them stuff.
You're not that familiar. You've seen them, but you're not that familiar with them. You got a name. You also know that he had a family. You don't really know much else about him. 10 feet in all directions. The subject moves. The sensor follows the speed. Okay, got it. I'll give it a shot. Not that I think it's exceptional. He's also not prepared for something like this to happen. No, it's going to fail. The mirror floating inside of the bowl itself begins to spin. Not quickly. It just starts to rotate at a very normal pace as you commit to your scrying. The water begins to slip into various pails of gray, clouding multiple times over. The gray cloud slips into black, and then it begins to glow into silver before it almost looks like a pool of quicksilver. You can no longer see the rim of the mirror. All that you can see itself is the reflection of a room. Can you hear inside of this room? Negative. You can only see. It peers downward, just from above. Watching, you see a figure sitting back in a large wooden chair. As you kind of peer around this figure multiple times, scanning like it's some sort of 3D object, and you're looking at it at a surface, almost like a computer front. The return image casts a silhouette of what the back of the chair looks like. It's almost thrown in its definition, but it's very tall, and it seems almost as if there are arms that kind of come out, and they're grabbing the top of it like it's holding on. And at the very top of it, the silhouette sort of breaks multiple times through, where it exhibits many eyes over and over again. Right around 13. If you had to guess, 10 to 15, something like that, but you're not really paying too much attention to it. The figure sits, and you can see his arms at the elbows resting on the arms of the chair. His hand moves several times over, like he's gesturing to someone, bringing them out again. And you peer to look around the rest of the room. It's dark. Now, even though you have dark vision, this doesn't deliver to you in dark vision. It's peering in the normal fold. You see silhouettes of other people. Whom they are, you have no idea. What their purpose is, you're not sure. There are at least 6 others centered around a long table. He sits at the foot of it. You cannot see the other end. It seems as if he begins posing some sort of a question as he leaves his hand extended outward, an invitation. And then one by one, you see the others begin to raise their hand and thumbs up or thumbs down. The first pair, 2 thumbs up. The second pair, a thumbs down and a thumbs neutral. The third pair, a thumbs up and a thumbs down. And there's a pause before all of their heads turn to face into the darkness of which you cannot clearly define or see. 4 or 5 seconds pass, and then they nod. They all turn to look back at this figure that you've been scrying. He nods as well. He stands, and you begin to follow him. He moves from one door. Go ahead.
I was going to say, was there any paperwork that he might have in front of him that I can see?
No, sir.
Okay.
He moves to the door, steps through it, and it roves up angularly a set of steps. 6 or 7 landing, curves to the right. 6 or 7 more landing, curves to the right, and then leads upward. You're in some sort of basement. You follow him up. And as you pass through the upper level of the establishment, you don't recognize the room. You've never been inside of this place. It seems mostly abandoned. Chairs are upturned on the table. The stone seems to be wet. It's at least dark enough for that much. Firelight flickers outside, but it seems to be mostly stopped. Curtains? Perchance, you're not sure. He leaves outside of the rear part of the building. And when he rounds back out to the visible map level, he stands in front of an abandoned building. Give me a knowledge local or a knowledge history. Okay. Historically, you're not entirely sure what the building is. The way that it was designed and shaped, it looked like it could have been a tavern, potentially an inn, any place that people could gather, but it's gone underutilized for a very, very long time. What its purpose is, unbeknownst to you. Who those other people were, no idea. But there were at least 6 other people there. 7 including himself. And you couldn't see at the other end of the table. He'll walk a while before he begins to redon some jewelry. And as he does, your vision will fade. It becomes blurred before it stifles back into what looks like just a common mirror.
As the scry finishes, Ulhime will lay the mirror back in the water, so it looks essentially like the bowl itself is hiding the mirror.
Sure.
And just kind of ponders to himself, just thinking, what is it you're planning, Guildfrey Silverlight? What more can you do to this place?
You sit idly for a while.
Yeah.
Asking questions. You occasionally hear cries from above. Nothing long-lasting, mind you, but something that seems to be new in this place. The cry of a child. You briefly remember Rahk bringing back Chobs. For him to cry through the night like this, he witnessed something truly terrible. Do you rest? Do you think about anything else? Do you ask any more questions? Cast any more spells?
Outside of that, if Rahk wants to talk, probably want to talk to.
Rahk? Anything? Do you get much sleep?
No. I would assume that Chobs is probably not exactly restful at the moment, and if he does sleep, it will probably be after crying himself exhausted and racked with nightmares, so I intend to stay up with him pretty much the whole night.
Then I would make my way up.
Okay. Doesn't take you very long. You know how to get there. You've been there many times before, and nobody really pesters or bothers your shrine.
As I make my way up, I'll locate Rahk, and would you be in like the office where we had everyone sleep for the most part?
Probably so, or somewhere off to the side anyway. I don't want Chops to have to be near everyone else and contend with that.
Yeah, and I would probably wait till like knowing to that point where he kind of just cries himself to sleep before talking to Rahk. But I would knock on the door.
What is it?
How is he holding up?
As well as a freshly orphaned child can. What do you want? I have no words for you.
I might need your help.
Bold of you to ask for my assistance now.
I know. Given the circumstances, I wouldn't blame you for wanting to leave.
If I leave, who will be the moral compass of this group? Clearly, it's not to be you. Jakob sure as hell isn't going to do the job.
I can understand your frustrations, and my problems have burdened the people quite a bit.
Burden them? That's one way of putting it. You want to express your burden to the crushed pavilion full of innocent civilians?
In time. There's an old man that seems to be after us. I don't know if it's us as a group or individually, but from what I know, he works for the Last Laugh. And it seems that he has a gathering. They were holding a meeting somewhere.
Why should this concern me? He's not after us.
I don't know if that's the case. But I am trying to find him to make amends. Even if it costs me everything.
Everything would be a small price to pay.
Ulhime closes the door behind him. He walks in further, but he closes the door behind him.
Jobs rolls a few times. You hear the hushed whimpers. Even in his sleep, he's still suffering.
Do you hate me, Rahk?
There are many things that I hate. I hate the way that you chose to carry out this deed. I hate that it was for selfish reasons. I hate what happened to Chop's parents and everyone else's parents and children and whoever else may have been in that pavilion. I hate that the town has seen so much suffering in such a short period of time. I don't hate you, but I hate what you've done.
Do you know why I'm doing what I'm doing now? As selfish as it may seem, do you understand what it is that I am trying to do?
Because you have a warped sense of importance. You believe that you are the one to carry this world through whatever evil may set upon it, but that's simply not the case. Sometimes the world doesn't need a hero. The world just needs good people. And frankly, I'm not so sure that you're one of them.
Ulhime scoffs at what he says and slowly nods. That is one way of looking at it. But do you know why I've been calling myself Helm? Do you understand that reason? Think beyond me trying to have some god complex and understand why I've been telling people that.
Because you refuse to let go of a religion long since dead?
What if I told you the religion had only been taken out about a month ago?
I'd say you're crazy.
And most would think that. But there's one person outside of myself who believes this person still exists. And he shows him his shoulder with Jimothy's face on it. I'm trying to take his place so he simply won't be forgotten until he can come back. And since his destruction, I have not heard a word from him. And because of that, I have been trying to amass enough power to take his place. So anyone who bears this emblem wouldn't forget who he is. That they would know that they're in safe hands, regardless of what visage I take, regardless of how malformed I become. If it's a power that I can utilize to protect those who wish to protect others, then I will do that.
What you fail to see is that your pursuit of power causes more harm than it does good. You've made attempts to make yourself stronger, to strengthen your cause, all in the pursuit of goodness, and that I can't argue with, but the ramifications at this point have far outweighed the benefits. You have to see that. You can't be blind to it.
And which decisions have I made? Sit uneasy with you.
Frankly, all of them that I've seen, and those that I've heard about, haven't been great either. You chose to wait until the 11th hour to carry out a task that was demanded of you. Return for a favor that, frankly, I don't see any payout for. And it got a lot of people killed. A lot of good people.
I didn't want to wait. And he kind of points towards the door. They didn't want me to do that, to carry out the task.
So now you blame them? Are you
No.
saying that you couldn't drive your own sword into his heart? You could have ended this. And you should have.
You say that now. But prior to that, everyone was concerned about his well-being, as was I, which was why the hesitation had set in. not just with myself, but with everyone else.
Well, of course, his is a life just as any other's is, and I don't necessarily think that it should have been taken from him, but that thing that destroyed part of the town certainly did, and you seem to have pretty binding agreement with him.
I did. And I still do. But don't forget that we work as a group. The things that I've done or withheld myself from doing have been a group effort. Though I do place most of the blame on myself for not wanting to carry through my decisions.
How very kind of you. Group effort or not, you should shoulder this weight. It's yours to carry and yours alone.
I know that. That's why I've been neglecting to ask you for help.
What is it exactly you need?
As I said, I need to find out where this man is. And I need to talk to him. Outside of that, you don't need to do anything else.
Then I'll find him.
Very well. If you can, ask the people if they know where he's at. And when you find out, please tell me.
Asking around is likely to get me killed. I'll find him, but on my own terms.
Very well.
You should
Ulhime
go.
will open the door and slowly close it.
He steps away. Rocky peer over to Chops as he rustles again from the sudden movement, the shutting of the door. Yet he doesn't really wake. It takes a few moments before he falls back into his slumber. Do you stay awake?
Likely. I doubt that sleep would come easy. Or at all.
For the sake of the next day, you will be fatigued. It's not really that much of a detriment to a character with your stats, but the fatigued feature, you can see what it does. There's a lot to it, but yeah, it's not going to be a tremendous detriment to you mechanically. Just more of a roleplay facet at this point. So, the day will come and go. That night was brusque. Despite the heat of the lake, it was a cool breeze that swept over the town. No elementals of the flame still exist in this town as far as you are aware. As far as you're aware. The night will carry on in silence, which is welcomed more some than for others. A new dawn, a new day. It is a day of repair, a day of mourning. And the city will not be short of it. Despite the amount of lives that were previously lost, this is yet just another catastrophe that has struck this town. And this time, those that were lost were most notably the poorest. Seemingly at the same time, they were those with the most heart. But some of you know individuals that had gone out of their way to help these particular people. Others have avoided this area. I'm going to pass this over to Cort. The camera will focus again to you and to Marion Greyweather, your master, as daylight trickles in from the cracks in the building.
As you said that, I just realized how pissed off Fables is going to be with us.
She's going to be a little livid.
Yeah, hopefully not at us, except maybe just Ulhime. like as a group. Cort would more than likely get up early, cook breakfast as per usual, standard soup, whatnot, slop.
Sure.
And then essentially wait for Marion to wake up. I'm assuming he'd wake up eventually. You can only sleep for so long after falling off a horse.
Right.
When he'd finally wake up, Cort would probably just kind of stare at him, to be honest.
Okay.
Kind of looking over him and taking in the whole not having two arms thing.
Sure. I'm going to set you up with some ambiance so you are familiar with it.
Oh boy.
Despite whatever time it is that you have found yourselves waking on this day, despite your desires to sleep in and just wear away your concerns or emotions from the previous catastrophes, you will find yourself waking. And Marion is actually rising at about the same time. That's something that he imparted upon you. Not something that you can do as staying in bed too late. And sure, with him gone, you took advantage of that scenario because it's hard waking up day in and day out, losing the only guidance you have really had. But you are no longer just some misfit and untrained boy. You have officially been knighted. And now the teacher become the student.
I wouldn't go that far.
He pushes himself upward, trying to stretch out. And you see him try to move his shoulder, his left shoulder over. And then he pauses for a moment, remembering. Dropping his shoulder back down. His other hand comes up and he starts scratching the back of his head. He sees you. Good morning, boy.
Good morning, sir. He's just gonna kind of stare at him, kind of awestruck. It's like, like when you go to a concert and like your favorite singer like walks up and like says like, "Hey, how are you doing, buddy?"
Nope.
No.
Nope. Never heard that
well,
happen.
like imagine if you were to wake up and Sean James was just chilling on your couch.
Well, I mean, okay, all right. So I'm gathering what you're saying. So you
like
you
you
are
would
a
just
little
like you
awestruck.
wouldn't know where to start.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like,
Just taking it all in.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like you're here. You're standing right there in front of me. This is possible. And he just kind of has that like look on his face.
You seem as if you've seen a ghost.
Forgive me, sir, but I kind of feel like I have.
Well, I'm made of tougher stuff than this. You should know that.
I was pretty sure that everyone died.
Close. Close. Not for lack of trying. And man succeeded in most of his trial.
Did anyone else make it out?
Not a soul.
How did you make it out?
I was left for dead, and I was not thrown onto a heap to be burned. I was struck just below the arm, and I had never quite anticipated the power of a single human man. I've seen it before, in the Ogrekin, the Yetin folk. Raw power. But this was something different. I wailed in with my blade to bring him down, and he merely sidestepped, caught me under my arm with his hand, and he sheared it off, like it were parchment, wet. I had this gash where I was stabbed in the gut, but I was able to tend to that myself. I don't know what stopped the bleeding, but here I sit, preparing to stand at that.
Cort's just gonna kind of look at his feet. Probably for the first time since Kiana's actually told him to never look at his feet again. And he's just gonna kind of mumble out, "I should have been the one."
You should have been the one to what?
I should have been the one to stay.
To stay and do what? To die?
No, I could have held them up. You could have ran away. You were much better than me. You could have had a chance to get back at him.
Boy, I sit here before you. Yes, I am a man with incapabilities, but if you were to come in, you would only be killed. You would have been fodder. Slain almost immediately. You could barely handle your own prick. Let alone a sword. A sword. You were not prepared for it. We were still tussling with regular wooden training blades. And then I was told, much to my surprise, chagrin even, that you have been knighted. That you're a defender of this town, appointed almost a soldier, a guard. This is a much larger place than your home. Your parents would have been proud of you.
He's gonna kind of wipe the tears away from his eyes. I lost your sword. That's why I became a knight.
It's but a flank of steel. It doesn't matter what blade you use. What matters is the heart of the man who carries it. I trained you that much. You should be wary of that and remember it. Dry your eyes. You look too sad. Too sad. You still have both of your arms, and you look too sad. Will you cook me something? I'm very hungry.
Yeah, I'll get right on it. And he's gonna kind of stand up and kind of hurry on over to the fire and start it.
Stop sniffling. I don't want any snot in my stew or whatever it is that you'll be making.
Yes, sir.
When you glance back, despite his harsher words, his face doesn't really communicate as much. He does seem a bit sunken in, tired, long on the tooth, if you will, but there is no malice or anger behind his face. Exhaustion, maybe, but mostly concern. He was never really hard on you, but he did push you frequently. And you can tell that this is just one of those moments.
Yeah. It's the tough love kind of thing.
Yeah.
Continue making preparations for the stew.
What do you have, food-wise?
It would honestly be whatever we have in the bathhouse at this point, because I'm assuming not much after the shortage.
You guys don't have anything.
Yeah, so rations.
Rations.
I'm gonna throw some rations in a pot. I'm gonna pour some water over it.
As he starts scrounging around for like food and stuff, I'll see that he's trying to get something prepared. First thing I'm gonna do, at the top of the bathhouse, I'm gonna like move all like the broken chairs and shit out of the way, like start sliding them out of the way. I'm gonna knock on the door to have Rahk and Chops get up.
There's a rapping at the door. It's not even a light rapping. It's rather dense.
That raven needs to go the fuck away.
Rahk, you just hear on the other side. Rahk, Chops, come get food. Hurry up. And then
Coming.
As everyone starts getting up, would have
you can see Marion is
Jacob made a minute back?
Is starting to Jacob is starting to see what Cort is doing, like reaching through his pack, gathering like field rations and things like that. No, I need
got
actual
some granola
food.
bars and some raisins.
That man Jacob, while he was a swell individual, has been feeding me berries and nuts for the last 2.5 weeks, and I passed nothing but water through my body. I need something. Give me meat.
At the moment Rahk and Chops come out, you see Ulhime start making these like archaic symbols in the air, and then as you see him hit the ground and his hand comes up, like this golden like powder just raises up, and then poof, Hero's Feast just appears in front of the center of the floor.
Cue up the spell for me.
Suddenly, it's the Red Wedding all over again.
Feast for 1 creature per level. Duration 1 hour plus 12 hours. Casting time is 10 minutes. So it's a bit of a longer poof as it begins to materialize.
Yeah, I'm saying like after the actual spell is done, that's where it kind of comes into manifestation.
You bring forth a great feast, including a magnificent table, chairs, service, and food and drink. The feast takes 1 hour to consume, and the beneficial effects do not set in until this hour is over. Every creature partaking of the feast is cured of all sickness and nausea. If a creature partaking of the feast is affected by poison, you must make a caster level, blah, 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 blah.
Damn. This kills fucking parasites, disease, poison. Oh, coggers.
Yeah, it's...
And you gain temporary hit points.
You do, in fact. 1d8 plus 1 points per 2 caster levels.
So basically, this is kind of like getting a worm treatment, but it tastes a lot better.
Sort of. It is a high-level spell, yes.
+1 morale bonus on attack rolls and will saves, and a +4 bonus on saving throws against poison and fear for 12 hours.
Yep.
Cock.
It is a very... This isn't his first time using this. This is at least your second time using Hero's Feast.
I about to say, I think
Yeah, I had like an altered version where it was like it doubled the food, but it was very plain in nature. It was for like the common folks, that way I could give them as much as I possibly.
But this is...
I summoned 7,000 loaves of bread.
Yeah, this is not a low tier spell. This required some mad preparation and mad casting time, so it's certainly going to... It's going to occupy one of his slots, right? So as far as preparation goes...
I already used it.
What level spell was this?
6.
Yeah, this is a big boy right here.
Big
But
buggers.
Rahk, after you gather your things and you successfully wake Chobs up, Chobs will immediately start his like light sobbing, just kind of remembering what's happened as he's like looking around the room. And when kids sort of come to and they're confused, but they just kind of put their arms out. Even if he is a heavier set boy, he's still very much a child.
I'll lift him and holding him on my hip, open the door and kind of take a seat at the table.
There are multiple chairs. This is a surprise to you. You were not naturally expecting to see this enormous golden long table with matching golden chairs and a feast fit for kings. In fact, even Chobs is like sort of taken aback. There's a brief pause in his sobs as he just kind of looks on. And then he looks to you. Then back down to the food. You kind of see him briefly for a moment stretch his hand out to grab something. And he looks back at you. Is it okay?
It's okay. Have whatever you like, and as much as you like.
He rips off a tether of grapes, and he starts eating them. And as quickly as he put in the one to test it, he's de-stemming the whole thing, almost like a Looney Tunes character, where he like puts it in his mouth and then pulls the stem out. As it's just filling his cheeks with grapes. You see bits of grape juice like running down, and you can just hear this like and from him. It's delicious, right? This is far better food than he's probably ever had in his life.
Ulhime slides a golden goblet with nectar inside of it. Wash it down, lad. You don't want to choke on food.
He leans in. Am I supposed to drink this?
It helps.
He smells
You'll
it.
like it.
And like his eyes go wide before he slowly starts kicking it up. And then like both of his hands come up and he sort of like starts freeing himself from your side, Rahk, and lowering himself. The table just comes up to his chin, so you just see his head just above the table, and his arm kind of goes up, grabbing at other fruits and maybe pulling across a a tear in the bread. And Marion is taken aback. Why could you not have prepared food like this?
Cort's just gonna kind of look at him. I've never really been good with magic. Still not really good with it.
It's a joke, boy. It's a joke. Sit down. Sit down. Have some food.
He's just gonna kind of sit there and like, what? And
Nope.
he's gonna
wait for everybody else to sit down before he'll finally take a seat.
The ham and bacon's on the other side, Rahk, if you want to help yourself to that. All the other drinks are over here, and fruits, vegetables, and bread, as well as the cheeses are on the side.
You think he's a carnivore?
I'll eat when I'm ready. Thank you.
You know what? When you say that, Cort, your old master clips you in the side of the head with his one good hand. Just fucking slaps you right in the fucking head.
Just full on fucking Gibbs slaps him.
Look, I'm just saying, after what we've seen, what happens with systemic racism and Rahk, I would say we should avoid it.
There's more than just bread and vegetables on the table.
SMH.
And he's
totally
it's
didn't
called
mean
a
it.
small gesture
But
of
yet you
kindness.
single out the orc and tell him that there's the meat.
Oh,
He's the only one also not eating.
Totally didn't mean to actually slap my microphone there. I just the tip clipped it and spun it around.
Look, guys, you heard it here first. Cancel Ulhime.
Man, phrasing, bub, phrasing.
Well,
just the tip.
It's the truth. I did. I clipped it. But that's okay. It doesn't take Marion long. After he hits you, just shakes his head. Pass the wine and near beer.
He's gonna pass it over, and for the first time in the morning, he's just gonna have kind of a smile on his face when he passes it. As there's still the dried up tears on his face.
Have any of you seen Jakob?
Pan the camera, actually, at that. Jakob.
Wake up, cigarette on the bed.
When you find yourself coming to, you will be on the cold stone. Coals all but burned out entirely in the hearth. The table pushed completely against the wall. The chair nestled just between your legs. And she's not there. The door is shut. Papers scattered all around you.
Well, I think he will take a moment to kind of look around. And then he's probably going to lift whatever rag of clothing, coat, tunic is likely over his, lap and just kind of check and make sure everything's still there before.
It's a document. It's just a single document. It's not even it's not even a full document. It was torn in half and it's still enough to cover more than enough.
Ooh.
To post it.
It's actually a single fountain pen.
Good old round stick.
Y'all fuckers can go ahead and burn in the dumpster fire.
If we have to sit here and listen to how you fucking bedded Kiana Green, you can listen to a few jokes about the size of your character's junk, okay?
Or lack thereof. Gotta.
But no, given his run of bad luck over the last several months, he is going to at least check and make sure that, she didn't cut him off or something.
Seemed pretty lucky last night.
And ha 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 ha. Yes. But no, I mean, once he's convinced, okay, all parts are still attached, he is going to kind of get up, get dressed, try and collect up all the papers, make sure there's no, mushroom prints on them or anything like that, and see about sliding the desk back into place, getting things ordered. At which point he is going to kind of duck out of the office, look up and down the hall, and start making his way outside of the guardhouse itself.
Okay. You make your way outside of the guardhouse, and you find yourself rather surprised to find that there are various people staring at you. Not many. Bear in mind, there are not so many people in town left anymore.
All right, just a couple townsfolk.
Just a few.
Yeah, just staring at the blue guy. Yeah, he'll go ahead and give a wave and step down, looking around the.
When you give the wave, you notice that their arms or their eyes train immediately on your midsection, and they immediately begin averting their path.
My midsection.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of, a little confused. He is going to continue walking along, and if many people keep averting their eyes, he is going to take a moment to look himself over. He is clothed. He did remember to put on pants. He does have the mask and all.
You don't.
Wait,
you don't have
what?
the mask. Gathering all of your things, your sword, your armor, everything that you had in your journey, the staff, the staff scythe, if you will. You had everything, but you couldn't find the mask.
Then yeah, that would have likely changed his MO there. Yeah, he probably wouldn't have stepped out without that.
Okay.
He'd have, still organized the desk.
I know that Jakob is intelligent, but in this fitful night of romance, would it be something that crossed your mind? She said that she didn't care what you looked like.
Would it matter to him?
Would it be something that, because it's off, because you've been wearing it so long at this point, and it was removed, would you have immediately thought to it?
Yeah, probably
Okay.
when the door handle went ahead and clipped off in my claw.
Remember, it doesn't change. It doesn't physically change anything. It's just an illusion.
Right.
So,
but it's
your hands would normally do that if they were capable of it. You just know how to handle yourself. You're not just going to start clipping off brass instruments just because you're capable.
Okay.
It's sort of like it's a subconscious thing where you're starting like, this is how your body functions now, and you know that with improvised force, you are capable of shearing the head of a goblin clean off of its body, but you also know how to correctly adapt and adjust a door handle.
I want to say that he would at least be aware of it, but on this one, I'm just going to go ahead and do black fucking wisdom roll.
Okay.
Yeah, he'd probably be aware of it before leaving.
Okay. I'm okay with that. Then what do you do? How do you change this? Do you mask yourself additionally so? Is there a way that you cover?
Shit. That is actually a very good question. No, if it turns out that after an hour or two of waiting, pacing, kind of walking through and double checking, triple checking the offices to see, if this mask had somehow just, gotten scooted under a cabinet or something like that. If he was fairly certain it just was not to be found, he'd have probably gone to the window, cast light and invisibility on himself, flight or invisibility, and de-ass the area.
Yeah, gotcha. Got it. Then you can do as such. Probably invisibility will work better than flight because there's nothing scarier than a flying four-armed demon, just hovering over the town.
Yeah, you know what? Come to think of it, yeah, he would just do invisibility and walk through the town, just avoiding the usual bumps and so forth.
Sounds good. It's early enough in your day. You have no idea where Kiana is. You have no idea where the mask is, but you can put two and two together here and guess that she probably has it if you couldn't upturn it from the rest of the room. Why? You don't know. Would you be mad at her for it?
Even bitch. Say again?
Would you be mad at her for it?
I'd be hurt.
Okay.
You know, Jacob is dealing with enough. He's got more than enough on his plate right now that he needs to be concerned of. But yeah, having a moment of weakness like that, and then all of a sudden finding out that she basically pickpocketed him of something extremely valuable to his ego. Yeah, that kind of hurt.
Okay.
But yeah, given the fact that he doesn't know where Kiana is, and this invisibility does have a pretty lengthy time frame on it, he would probably see about hitting the usual haunts as far as where you would find the captain, see if he can find any indicators. But as his time starts to wind down, he is going to just head towards the bath.
Okay. That's good. That's good to know. You do just that. You'll hit the usual haunts before you finally find yourself giving way and making your way back. And it is at this point, as you're crossing back over, that you will see her making her way to the bathhouse as well. She seems to be carrying what looks to be some sort of, not like a satchel per se, but like a, something that's been covered in rags, and it's nestled very closely to her. She gets a few nods from the people of the town. The one lone guard that she happens to see stops her briefly, and she continues on her way. Do you wish to stop her, or what do you do?
If she's headed in the same direction, he is going to kind of dance his way through the crowd and then fall into step alongside of her, and while invisible, just kind of murmur aside, that was a very rude thing to wake up to.
She stops briefly, but knowing that it might cause more issue than not, she continues back in her step. Rude thing to wake up to? What do you mean, rude to wake up to?
Well, bad enough to go ahead and wake up to an empty room. The least you could have done is given me a shake and seen if perhaps I would have liked to join you for the morning after something like that. But no, it's kind of like somebody running off with your aunts when you're out bathing in a lake. Where's my mask?
Your mask is fine. It's with me. And I was intending to allow you to rest. Just come back in from a travel yourself. Let's not see this as more than it is. We're not a thing.
No, I'm just...
This is no couple. Last night something happened, and I saw it was my own issue to deal with. And she holds this package, this poorly wrapped bit in the rags. She holds it out.
She's offering it to me?
Wherever you are, she doesn't see you. She's not, like, she's just looking forward.
Yeah, she's just holding it out, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm standing right next to her. It's very clear that the voice is coming from one side of her. But yeah, he'll see about lifting the satchel away, and I'm assuming that once it's on his person, it is also invisible like all of his equipment.
Give me a perception.
Oh, joy! Yeah, people are going to start thinking that she has a levitate spell or something. Let's see here. Perception. One of these days, I'm just going to leave the character sheet up.
You should. Jacob, you notice that there is a sizable crack in the mask.
Yeah, he's a little horrified, and he kind of, even though she can't look at it, can't see it, he's looking from her to the mask, her to the mask, her to the mask. What happened?
What do you mean, what happened?
The mask, it's broken.
It broke last night.
Wait. What? What? You mean when we did the...
Yes. Yes.
Oh.
You were caught on the door? You remember taking the step and you fell. You slammed your head intensely into the hearth, and it snapped the corner of the mask. You don't remember this.
I remember a lot of things from last night. I don't remember taking a trip and smacking my face into the hearth.
Well, I can't say that it made the moment extra exciting, but it happened. We moved past it and continued on our excursion.
Well, at least it wasn't all... At least it wasn't all a dream.
You seem surprised.
Well, it's... Well, no matter. That's something we don't need to discuss. Like you said, we're not an item. It was just two colleagues finding respite, safe harbor, crossing boats, that sort of thing.
Colleagues,
Anyways.
you are still my subordinate.
Yes, ma'am. But, so, you took the mask and went to try and find somebody to fix it?
I didn't try, I did. I have favors in this town. People do well when they abide by the law, and they need something. I am willing to help them, and they offer me favors. It just so happens that there is a particular proprietor that owns the Shining Tome that owed me a service. The debt was paid, and she repaired the mask. Swiftly, I might add. I've only left from the guardhouse for the last 40 minutes, maybe an hour at best. I didn't expect you to wake.
Well, all things considered, I'm surprised I woke up as early as I did as well. But, well, you could have afforded, just for the next time, put an extra log on the fire. Stone gets cold.
Right. I'll keep that in mind when you're snoring on the stone, keeping everyone awake and alert as to your area of control and dominance, correct?
I do not snore.
You would be surprised. I thought you were swallowing your tongue several times.
Well, that's entirely unfair. If anything, it was the vigorous exercise before falling asleep.
Right. Whatever helps you sleep at night, Jacob?
Well, I had no problem sleeping last night. Just apparently something disagreed. Regardless, normally I do not snore.
She stops, this time curtly so. You're talking an awful lot. Did something last night mean more to you than what it was? Was this your first time with a woman?
No. Certainly not the first time. Just...
Was this your first time with a willing woman?
That is entirely unfair.
Fine. Is this your first time with an unpaid woman?
Kiana, it wasn't my first anything. It's just been some time since I've been as relaxed as that with anybody.
I would say it was your first time ever. But never mind, it wasn't all bad.
Yes, well, the feeling is mutual. Regardless, just back to business then.
For now.
Heading back to the heading back to the bathhouse yourself?
My goal was to find you. When I went back and I'd returned to the guardhouse, I didn't see you. And the only other place that I could think of immediately was at the bathhouse.
Well, it was good timing regardless, and I do thank you.
Oh, moments ago,
Appreciated.
you were telling me that it was rude. That I left you feeling a certain way. And now it's appreciative. You have a hard time saying sorry. Because I could have just left your mask broken. That would have served you no purpose, and it wouldn't have helped me either.
Yes, which is why I'm trying to take the moment to go ahead and thank you. And apologize.
Then just say it. It's not that hard. It wasn't last night either. But that's okay, we made do.
Ooh, fuck you, Bob. Kiana, I apologize for waking up thinking the worst of the situation. For a moment there, I thought the worst of you when I couldn't find the mask. But now, knowing the situation, thank you. I owe you. Feel free to collect whenever.
Remain diligent, and I shall never have to collect. You will do your own services to this town, and we will be grateful.
Service to this town aside, this is something personal. This could have been a great problem for me, as this was a personal favor. It's a personal debt. As I said, I owe you. That having been said, I should probably go ahead and check in with my colleagues and see what damage we can avoid today.
Good. And while you see them, make sure to say to your dearest comrade and ally, Ulhime, that he would do well to avoid me for a time. Even if you cannot properly explain it.
I don't suspect that I need to explain it. Truth be told, you and I feel quite similar on the matter. But there's work to be done, and he is what he is.
Better respects and safe day, guard. Report in this evening. Let me know if anything has changed in the town.
Yes, ma'am. And at this point, he'll pull on the mask and, after a moment, step off to an alley trying to find a water barrel. And once he's found the water barrel, he's going to release his spell.
Okay. Seems good. You manage to release the spell, don the mask, you assume the form, and you can walk freely throughout the town. By the time that you arrive to the bathhouse, probably about 20 or so minutes have passed that they've been eating. Chobs never quite tires out, but despite his assessed pudginess and his gluttony, it's never really a tremendous amount of food. Though it was a handful of grapes, it was really only 4 grapes. A hunk of bread was not really more than a dinner roll at best. So he has been used to eating terrible food in copious amounts. You never really know when you're going to get to eat next, so you take every opportunity that you can when you live in the poorer side of Cauldron. The door is darkened, my heroes. Jakob has returned in his form. This blue-skinned, white-haired form.
Welcome back, Jakob. Have a seat.
Seeing Ulhime, there is a momentary pause and a moment of, I guess, best called raised hackles, but seeing the others, he does go ahead and give his nod to the rest, and come take a seat. He'll nod especially over down the road to Marion. It's good to see you hearty and hale.
As you take your seat, Marion will nod to you, and the sounds of the town will begin to sort of die away. You are enamored at the amount of food that is before you, and the various types. There are many different pheasants. You see wild roasted chops, fresh baked breads, veggies raw, and fruits aplenty. And everyone seems to be very sullen. Incredibly sullen. This moment is bittersweet. Having everyone together, with an exception of Thelsa, who has remained away for some time now, short of yesterday's events. She's been gone for a while. Aside from the various bits of cutlery crossing plates, the cups being tipped, poured, and the sounds of slurping of each type of near beer and wine, the silence is struck and snapped again from a very deep gasp and from a child. Chobs lights up.
Your boy's choking.
He looks to you, Rahk. Could we take this to... Never mind.
Oof.
You see bits of food sort of like fall from his face, and he sets the cup down and just kind of looks forward, still at all the food. Not really sure what to make of the situation. Not really sure how to feel. You see his eyes well. They're beginning to pool, these puddles. They haven't quite broke spring to flood down his face. He sniffles once, drawing up his sleeve to wipe his face and his eyes.
As he attempts to hold back his tears, Rock's just going to wrap his arms around him and sort of pick him up in a bear hug.
Yeah, seeing this, Jacob is going to lean a little closer to Cort. Did we adopt one?
Chobs, after you manage to sort of like hoist him upward, he says, No. I'll be fine.
You don't have to be brave right now. You're safe. You're with me. You'll always be safe with me.
Could I be strong? And will you teach me how to fight too?
Absolutely. You already are strong, Chobs. You're incredibly strong. Don't ever forget that.
I'll miss them.
I know you do. And you'll never stop missing them. But they'll always be with you.
I hope Miss Fables is okay. She was the only one that brought us food. I hope she wasn't in there.
She's very smart and very kind. I'm sure she made it out all right.
I better eat. You said I wouldn't know when I get to eat again.
We'll always have food for you. Eat as much as you'd like.
He brings his feet to the chair, and he tries to let his body slink down. Will you let him go?
Yeah.
Okay. He'll slink back down, and he just sort of drowns himself. This time, he reaches further across. He no longer drinks the near beer, like the highly watered down beer, to sort of kill any kind of not pesticides, but any kind of like bacteria or anything that was in it. It was a very common drink at the time. People just sort of adapted and grew to it. But he reaches across further, and he grabs what looks to be a goblet of wine, and he doesn't really look for permission from anyone. His eyes don't wander. He just sort of drinks, and he just kind of double hands this cup until it's gone. You see bits of it like running down his face, but he'll put the cup down and just slowly start chewing food.
Stay a while and listen.
You notice the bites are very slowed, and he just looks forward. His plate mostly empty, though his eyes are trained upon it. You know that's not what he's looking at. His eyes are there, but his mind isn't. He's somewhere different.
Rahk won't say anything, but he'll reach over and wipe the bits of wine and food dribbling down his chin.
He doesn't say anything. He just lets it happen. Marion looks at all of you. You've all had a hand in training Cort, then I can see that he was in good hands. Much softer than mine.
Cort's just gonna kind of continue to chow down.
You were his
He
age
learned
boy.
on his own.
You remember when you found into my service as a page, you carried around my sword, you drug it through the dirt, and I kicked your ass so hard.
Well, nowadays I get beat up by big ghost things.
Ghost things. Well, I suppose I am the least of your worries. Jakob told me that there were many things that were unsafe about this town. That you were probably the last line of defense amidst something much greater. Something much worse. Less benevolent, if you will. I do not think that this is a safe place to raise a boy. Especially of his age, if you are actually fighting big ghost things. Perhaps, with consideration from all here, that we find a different locale. Somewhere outside of the town. We will not need much, and it will be close, but Cort seems to have come out mostly fine. And if he is every bit as strong as I've been led to believe, then I've done my duty. And I would be happy to take on another page. I would care a bit more with a tempered and careful hand, as it is my only hand, and I realize where I made many mistakes. But I'm willing to offer my help, as I'm afraid that I will not be able to help you in the coming battles.
Cort's gonna just kind of look over at Rahk, because this is pretty much his decision.
I know that we've only recently met, and I know that I appear weathered and broken, but I still know how to handle a sword, and how to train a squire.
As far as I'm concerned, I think that the training of a boy into a man is more to do with passing along wisdom than necessarily swinging a sword. I think if you find yourself capable, I see no reason to go ahead and say anything against it. And he'll swing his eye to Rahk. you can at least admit that when it comes down to it, Cort is a prodigy with the sword and, well, a fairly chivalrous, honor-bound sort.
Cort's just gonna give a thumbs up in Rahk's direction.
Most of the time. Perhaps not the brightest child, but I think that has to do more with breeding than training.
I
he's
frankly don't think this is my decision to make. Chobs, what do you think?
His eyes lose trained focus on the plate, and he just looks up. You can see, like, the mush in his mouth that he's been chewing for minutes now. What? He didn't even hear anything that was being said.
It's okay, boy.
The boy's your responsibility, Rahk. At least I assume that he's your responsibility, seeing as I've yet to see him here before. As such, it's your decision. I'm assuming that he doesn't have any family or parentage in the city itself. At least not anymore.
Not since yesterday, no.
Well, perhaps this is something that... Perhaps this is something that would be best for him. In fact, and he'll turn his attention to Marion, how many boys do you think you could look after? I'm sure there's no shortage of orphans in the city, and perhaps raising 2 or 3 good squires nearby the city.
We've lost everyone at the guard in the recent attack.
I would need some help. I believe that I could educate 2, maybe 3 pages, but more than that, and it would become cumbersome as a man with a single arm. They may be young.
You'll have a place in time.
They may be young, but they're smart enough to handle my situation. I'm only getting older anyway.
I think I may know somebody who could be of assistance. She's a priestess, and I'm not certain if she is going to plan to stay within the city walls or if she'd be amenable to something outside of the city walls for a time. But, perhaps we could go ahead and get at least a few of the children out of harm's way. Something to consider.
Definitely something worth considering. I believe that having the aid of a priestess, a cleric, assumedly so, of benevolent service, this would be useful. We can push for a more physical training with ease of mind. Though I think it will still take time. He is very young. Boy, how old are you? Boy. And Jobs will glance back. What? How old are you? What is your... How many years have passed since you have come to? It's my 9th name day soon. 9. Some time still, but it's fine. Little thick in the middle, but we can work with this. You should have seen him, he points with his single good hand. His head was the same size a decade ago. It was all gut and girth. Time has a way of changing people. We can make this happen. If you're fine with it.
I see nothing wrong with it. It's good for a lad to go ahead and grow up into a proper profession. And I'm sure that Ulhime would be more than willing to fund the expenditure. At that point, Jakob will just resume joining in on the morning, on the morning festivities.
Would you be capable of assisting in the construction of a smaller cabin meant to suit 2 to 3 rooms if there would be as many boys?
I have a donation already going through for an orphanage. If you want, you can become its new headmaster.
I'm afraid that while that offer sounds tempting, I am not an orphan's caretaker. I am a trainer of men and soldier. And while I can help boys, I do not have the same experience with girls. This would be more useful for this priestess that you speak of, but I also believe that an orphanage will serve best inside of the town, and if anything that you have said is true, this is not a safe place for orphans. This is not a safe place for children in general.
Once our funds come in, I will give you the gold that you need.
I do not suffer from greed. We merely need something with 2 to 3 rooms, and is
Cort's
defensible.
He's gonna lift his face up from his plate. Sir, I could help make you the cabin if you want.
This would be good. I would like to see your handiwork with steel. If you still maintain some of the technical use that I've taught you, or you've picked up something more from these gentlemen.
Well, if you need somebody to spar with, I'd be more than happy to offer my services, and it's been some time since I got to swing an axe anyway.
I am afraid that I would be no match for you. I am, in fact, still a one-armed man, and you, while having 2 arms, are definitely not of the same immediate racial capability.
I meant for Cort, Marion.
Oh.
I'm not about to fight a one-armed man.
Thank the gods. What kind of teacher would I be if you came in and kicked my ass?
Cort, while shoveling food into his face, you could probably beat him.
His style is sloppy. I've seen it myself. If you need anyone to haul materials, I'm available.
Very well. This is useful. I do not believe we will need much. We are in a volcano, are we not?
Mm-hmm.
The arbor around is very sturdy. I believe if we can fell a few of the trees, we may have enough that we can build something very clearly defensible.
Would we have to talk it out with those forest guardian people?
This is between you and them. I am merely offering my services.
Besides which, Cort, the Citadel is several leagues away to the north. Well, I think Marion's talking about something just outside of the walls of Cauldron, perhaps nearby one of the main roads.
I think they guard around here, but
perhaps
I'm
it
not
would be
really
better
sure.
that we stay far enough away. If this hole, you said citadel, if it is far enough away, then we would be able to train with no fear, and if there are other capable men, other swordsmen, knights. Boys do better when there are more to train with them. They learn the ins and outs of the blade, and they pick it up faster.
Well, from what I saw of the Citadel, it had rangers aplenty. If nothing else, the boy can most certainly learn of the bow and the and the light sword.
No heavy blade.
I'm certain there's a few that used blade and axe alike. It's all a matter of flavor there. And he'll look between Rahk and Cort. Perhaps we should go ahead and suggest to the mayor a possible rallying of the troops, so to speak. Perhaps sending another envoy to the Citadel and see if they would be willing to take on Marion and potentially some children. Maybe even... I can't remember her name for the life of me.
Jenya?
Jenya?
Yes. Bacon bits.
Kentucky Fried Half Fried?
Perhaps in the company of Lady Jenya. At least for the immediate foreseeable future until we can get a little further on the recovery projects. But for that, we'd have to go ahead and, again, speak with the mayor and see if it is something he'd be willing to press on them.
Well, then I will wait. If you see fit, then I shall wait here. Do you have any other things that you must attend to? Meetings? Or elders that you may seek after? Or will it be fine that I stay?
Was he asking everyone
He's
in
just,
general?
Just crossing the room, asking everyone.
I see no problems with you remaining under our roof. Mean as it is apparently now a guild hall.
A guild hall?
Or wait, no. Jakob isn't aware of that yet, is he?
No.
No, not yet.
You were aware of the plans, but not how far it's gone, I believe, right?
No, I don't think Jacob's even aware that it was going to be a guild hall. He knows that Ulhime's been kind of collecting up money and so forth, but he's not aware of the ultimate goal of
Guildhall.
Yeah, of Guildhall. So, retcon that last line.
Quick, run that shit back.
All right, I'm going to take just a brief moment. I'm going to step away before Leslie pops off to bed. I'm going to put us on our BRB screen, give you guys an opportunity to talk to chat, or step away if you also need to. I'm just going to step away myself. Guys, we'll be right back. If you have to run to the bathroom or what have you, this is a good chance to do so. Grab some popcorn or whatever you need, new drinks, so on and so forth, or file questions in at this lot. So please do so.
Remember to take a number off of the rack and wait in line.
Yeah, that. I'll be back in just a moment. Behave yourselves.